So as we have to do GitHub actions, so this is the agenda for today. And if you are joining me for first time, I'm Vijay Jethani, Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. Okay, so today, ideally, we should be able to complete 5 of the labs. Okay, so this is a structured way of how we should get started. And for you to get started on this lab, I have instructions for you. As already mandated that you should have at least your GitHub personal account. So you can go on github.com and create your personal account by just signing up for GitHub. That is the first prerequisites for today's class. And second thing is you will need an Azure subscription because you have to create an Azure services. So for these two, you have to have your respective accounts. And then moving further, we need to know some of the GitHub syntax that is related to GitHub actions. So let me come to that. First of all, let me set the context right. Okay, so we will go through that GitHub actions syntax. Also, for you to connect to the Azure, we will need some automation account, which is nothing but our service principal. So service principal here, you will go on your Azure CLI from the Cloud Shell and then create a respective service principal. Now this authentication can be at subscription level and or it can be at the resource group level. So while you create this subscription service principal, make sure you replace this bracket with your subscription ID. Okay. Similarly, while you are doing for resource group, you have to replace resource group as well as your subscription ID before you. Okay, so you should have that information before you create that service principal, and the output will be something similar to the client ID, client secret, and all the relevant details. So you have to copy this to create a GitHub secret. Okay, so this is how the basic prerequisites you have. First is your GitHub account itself, another is your Azure subscription, and third one is for you to know how you create your service principal to do the labs programmatically or to run the labs programmatically. Okay, so that is what is needed. And for each of the code, I have a respective branch. So I have arranged the code in respective branch. If you are seeing here, like we have the different branches depending upon the code you are using. So while I do so, I think you will understand more on this, but these are some of the basic prerequisites. Also, you can go through a respective branch link to go to the respective lab directly. Okay, so let me now start with the workflow syntax, because if anyone is joining new today, so they should understand what exactly or from where they have to take the guidance from. Okay, for also I have the hyperlinks here, so you can go on read also on your own for respective how you create the service principal. Similarly on the GitHub actions syntax. Let me start with GitHub actions syntax. Now this is how the workflow for GitHub actions will look like. First of all, this is a YAML file. So if you are working on your open source and already well versed with YAML file, and so I think you know most of the things, the structured and the how you have to align that, I think that you can take care automatically in that case, or you are aware of that. Now for GitHub actions, first of all, we have to name the workflow. Okay, so the name will define how the workflow, what the name of workflow will be. On means how do I trigger this workflow? Okay, so this will be running on whether I should commit something on my repository. Okay, so that is means push, or I should run this workflow or trigger this workflow based on pull request or push, or that means comment it, or pull request, that means once I raise a review for that. Okay, so going further, I just coming to respective section so that you understand more. So this is how ideally it should look like. On, so first there will be name, which you can, the way we have started with. Okay, so this is how the name should, that is an optional, you can have it or not, but ideally on push is how you will run respective workflow. Okay, so coming to the part, so this, if I just talk about this, so this specifies you that it should run on push to respective branch. Branch is nothing but the way your code is organized in that structure, and I should run this workflow if anything changes within release branch. Okay, and I should ignore the exclamation head shows I should ignore something which starts with anything, but I should avoid hyphen alpha. Okay, so that also we have the similarly in a commentary here for specifying that we should ignore if it starts something at or end something with hyphen alpha. Okay, so that should not get triggered. Similarly, you will also have a documentation within repository. So those all things you can also take care with paths ignore. That means I don't want any of my actions or workflows to trigger if anything changes on my documentation part. Also reverse, that means I should run on only specific files or like extensions you can think of or specific files you can think of. That is how you will trigger these workflows. And anything you do on these workflows, there are already ready built actions which we have to use that we can utilize. And other thing is we can also trigger these workflows on the cron. Okay, so this is again the same minute, hour, day, and then follow by the day, week of the day, and all those things, whatever you know from the cron scheduling perspective. Okay, so that's I think sufficient for you to for us to get started on GitHub Actions workflow. So let me switch over to what I have from the lab perspective. Okay, so I have my Azure subscription, and then I have the GitHub account which I'm using for this labs. So today's first lab is on Express. Okay, so let's review that first and then try to run that. First thing you have to do is navigate through your source code. That means what I have here. Okay, so what kind of files I have and what kind of the architecture it is having, what kind of the language or programming I'm using. So we have to get through that. Okay, so this is on Express.js. It is nothing but the web framework. Okay, on JavaScript. So as a part of this lab, we have to create this service on Azure. Okay, so this is a source code, so you can review that. Important thing here is a workflow, which I have already shown in the workflow syntax. Is a YAML file. How that looks like is by naming. Okay, so I have named this depending upon what we are trying to do here, and then on push. In my case, the branch is Express.js, and then path I am very specific so that there is no specific false alert triggering this workflow. Okay, readme express.js.md is a file through which this workflow will get triggered. Okay, now there also we have to take care of environment variables. Okay, in normal scenario, also in scripting as well we do so. Similar case is here. So I am giving some name to this web app. Similarly, want to have some version of that particular node I'm using, a resource group which I want to create, location, and what kind of the app service plan I'm going to create with that. Okay, now following that means now I have a structure above saying that on what this workflow will run, and these are the variables. What next? Next is the jobs or the actions. That means what I will want to do with this particular workflow. So it says Node.js build and deploy. That means as a part of this particular job or action, I'm trying, or respective actions I'm trying to build from this particular source code. First action is checkout. Okay, so actions checkout at master will provide this source code on the GitHub hosted runner. That means a machine on which this workflow will run. Next thing is, as we are going to have this on Azure, that means this particular app service will be created on Azure. We need some way to authenticate to Azure. So I'm going to authenticate with the service principal, which I've shown you just before, and that is stored in secrets known deploy GitHub. Okay, so this is how you will authenticate to Azure. Now coming to the third part of it, how do I create these services? I have two ways to create. One is I directly use the ARM template, or second thing is I'm using the CLI. So here I'm in all of the labs, I'm trying something some other different. In here I'm showing you using CLI, and then in other lab I will show you how you create the services using the ARM templates. Okay, now that is okay. We are done with the creation of our services. Now what next? After this, I'm trying to build this code. Okay, so for that I have given instructions to install the node package manager, run the build, and then run the test if present. So this gives me an artifacts ready to deploy on the web app. Okay, so this gives me an artifacts ready to deploy on a node or express here. Okay, and then with the help of again the readily available, or I would say a public GitHub actions available to you. So I'm just using Azure Web Apps Deploy with the app name, which I already specified in the name here, and then packaging. That means what is an artifact I have to deploy, that is provided by the variable web app package path, which is I'm considering default from that particular route, or where that is getting built. Okay, so that is default. So this is the complete workflow I have for Express. Now, while you do this deployment, few changes you have to do before you can run this lab. First of all, make sure you give appropriate naming convention. Now, as we are doing this, let me give some name which I understand or which is specific to me. So you have to change this. In my case, it is Vijay. You have to change it to your name, and then say today we are doing hands-on lab. Okay, so hands-on lab for Node.js, right? So these, I'm just doing these changes so you are confident of like that you can go and edit respective fields. Okay, so Vijay hands-on lab Node.js. Similarly here also I can give Vijay hands-on lab. Okay, and location will remain same. I think it's purely up to you how you want to set location. Node.js also I want to retain same, and the plan name will be, so let me give Vijay Node.js plan. Okay, now what next? This is the variable added changes. Now other thing which I want is to check or see this secret is available. So where can I check? So let me open in the new tab. So in settings, you have to come to the secrets. So while you create the service principal, you have to create a new repository secret, give name, and this will be in caps. So in that case, like mine was called deploy GitHub, which is already there. But what you will do is in your case, say you will create your secret and then paste the complete parenthesis and add secret. So this is how you will create your secret. But in my case, I already have the deploy GitHub secret available. Okay, and I'm directly using that secret as part of my workflow. So here I have that with which I am going to authenticate. Then coming to the next, how do I CLI everything I have through? Okay, so this is like what kind of the CLI I'm creating the resource group, then app service plan, then web app through this particular workflow. Okay, then I think we did the build and then deploying that package to the web app service. So let's, after changing the naming convention, let me commit this to my branch. Okay, now as I told you, this will not run until I trigger specific readme file. Okay, so in my case that readme file is on the workflow which I've shown you, readme expressjs.md. So let's do that. Okay, so you can anything, I'm just putting it for giving some meaningful name to it. Okay, so I'm just committing it so that this should get triggered. My workflow should get triggered by this particular file. So let me check if it started that workflow. First is you can check here. Similarly, other thing which you will get notified is this will go amber, or I would say for you to see in that workflow, you can just click on that and see what steps it is doing within that. So with this, let's see one by one. First step for it is to create a resource group. So it gone and created that for me, showing succeeded as a resource group. Let's see how it creates an app service plan based on this instruction. So it created a plan for me. Now third step for it is to create a web app with Node 12 LTS version. Okay, so now I am done with my service creation. Now the next step is for me to build on that. So which it did, it took a little time because that is a smaller code. It is going to deploy this to app service or web app. So let's wait for it to do that. Again, same path and convention, whatever we have put, you can just go and verify that once you are doing this particular run of your workflow. Meanwhile, we can also go and check if that hands-on lab is created. So I have given name as Vijay hands-on. Okay, that particular resource is created. App service and app service plan is there. So let us wait for this workflow to complete. Then we will browse that particular website to see that that workflow got executed the way we want it. Okay, so as everything is green, so I think we complete all the steps in a proper sequence. Okay, and then now moving towards the website. So this is the name of the website we named. So let us try to browse this. Okay, so I have just kept a simple message saying that welcome to GitHub Hands-on Lab. So ideally you can customize it or make sure if you are a web developer, so you can do all customization on the source code. But agenda for us is to learn the workflows, hence I'm keeping it as simple as possible. Okay, so this was our first workflow, which was on Node.js. Okay, now just going back to what we did in this is, first of all, we reviewed our code. Okay, so that is how you will do. And then we checked on whether we have our secrets, which we gone to the settings, and after service principal is created, we have this secret here. Okay, following that, we just gone to the workflow and did changes on the workflow variables, right? So that we are very specific on, and there is no conflict with anyone on Azure to use our naming convention. Okay, so these are some of the variables where you have to change the name. Okay, and then you go on actually creating that services and then doing the build and deploy part of it, and then finally deploying that code to the website. So that is what we followed in a simple way on this Node.js. Okay, so now let's take it more complex scenario where we will split this in more of a build or service creation job, and then do the deployment of the code afterwards, because there will be the production use cases where you need to fetch some information of some of these connection strings or some of the secrets which you should be available before you can actually deploy your code automatically. Okay, so let us look at the use case of ASP.NET MVC app. Exactly the same thing you will follow. Okay, only thing here is now here I have a specific use case for a fast food restaurant. Now the purpose of this fast food restaurant is they want to give their users access to upload the images of food they like. Okay, so here I have kept a architecture. That means the images will be uploaded to the storage account. However, the front end for users is the front end website. Okay, and there's an API website which is actually directly connected to the storage account. There is no direct connection from front end to a storage account images. So this is how the flow is. Now we will have a simple app service plan where we will create a front end as well as an API website, and then we create a storage account for storing those images of fast food restaurant, so that users, once they upload from here, they are able to get to the uploaded the images for the persistence on the website. So this is how they want that for a promotion of the restaurant as well. Okay, so they do this, someone likes it, and this is a simple website. So I think this is what we want to create with the help of our workflow. So everything is automated using GitHub Actions. So now let's look at instructions as well. Sorry, exactly the same thing. We will review source code, and I would create an Azure service with the help of GitHub Workflow, and by editing the service create.md file to be very specific. Make note of access key for storage account. As I said, now in this case, I have to make sure after the service is created that particular key is available for me so that websites can access those images, right? So, or a reverse way, a user once able to go from a front end to a back end using, they should have a proper connection established with the help of access being provided programmatically. Okay, so this is how we will follow this particular sequence. Okay, and then we do the similar kind of MD file change for build and deploy of this .NET Core, and finally deploying the respective code to web app and API app, and finally uploading the food images to check the functionality of website. So let's look at first of all the workflows. Now I have three workflows you are able to see here, which we will use here for deploying this. But importantly, like from the service creation, you just need Azure service if you just want to create a services. Okay, similarly for build and deploy, I need this particular workflow. So I have segregated depending upon the configuration I'm doing and depending upon the need. Okay, the other thing is ASP.NET MVC. This is a combine of both of them, so that if you create those like together, you can also use this workflow. The only thing is you have to create a storage account before to avoid that issue which I have shown you. Like there's a dependency of one workflow on another. So how do I can do that in two ways. I can fetch that programmatically and then append that, but then many times the services itself is not available. So that is the reason we are splitting them in as service creation, and then second thing is build and deploy. And also in production use cases, you will see that you will not create service quite often. Service will always remain there. You will just update the code. So hence, and that is the purpose of distinguishing service creation and the build and deploy in separate YAML files. So let's look at those YAML files. So going to service creation for ASP.NET MVC, again here our branch is separate because we have kept the code separate in separate branches depending upon the framework and language we are using. And the service create MD is the file through which this workflow will get triggered. And here also let me name it while we talk through. Let me give the name of Vijay Hands-on Lab for the resource group, and similarly I can give the storage account as well. Give HOL, okay, Vijay HOL storage account. Location, then .NET Core plan, Vijay HOL API app, and then HOL front end web. Okay, so these are simple changes I've done so that I'm creating the unique services on Azure. So this is, I'm done with the service creation part. Again, now the heart of our workflow is our jobs, right? So where should I run these jobs? So I'm running in on a specific machine, which is a hosted runner, which is an Ubuntu latest. Now steps, let me show you the steps. Like, first of all, I want this to be ported on the runner machine so that my code is available to that GitHub machine, and then I'm logging with my credentials using service principal, which is deploy GitHub. Okay, this is a secret which it will pull from the same which I have shown you in my previous lab. Okay, now I have the simple CLIs which will do the n number of job, right from creation of those plans and then creating both the web apps which you have seen in an architecture diagram, creating the storage account, creating the container, name images. So this particular workflow will do this particular job for me. Okay, so let me comment this for the changes I have done. Now this should run on a service create.md, right? So first of all, let's go and check if it is not running by. So it's not running because we have to have the appropriate change to the respective file. Now change is a service create file. Again, showing you an architecture diagram. This particular workflow will actually create this particular website storage account for us along with the container. Okay, so let's do that. Let me do the service create.md. Hands-on lab for .NET Core. So that's all. I just want to give some change to that file so that it goes and creates the services. Okay, so it seen that it has an update on this particular file and it then gone for creating that workflow for us. So with this actions, I think it should be able to create a resource group for us and then following respective services on the subscription. It is using my GitHub deploy GitHub service principal to doing this all programmatically. Also, the reason I'm showing you the CLI at first is because most of us are doing this from infrastructure as a service, so that you are not changing anything. Okay, so at first place, then slowly on my other labs I will show you how we create through the respective templates. Okay, so ARM templates we will use for creation of the services. So let us check whether it is getting succeeded. It succeeded in provisioning my resource group. Then it gone and creating the app service plan for me. Created a API app, a website. So we will need this, I think. So I'm just copying this for my reference while we do the deploy part. So I'm storing it on my notepad Similarly, I will just also pull out the name for my web app as well. Okay, so first of all, let us check whether this got created and my storage account is there and all everything. So let me check that. Okay, so it gone and created the app service plan for .NET Core, and it has a front end web and HOL API app. Okay, that's good. Where is the storage account? So storage account, I think it takes some time because it has to provision as well as the create the container, so it takes some time. So let me check. Yeah, I think we are good with the service creation part. Okay, so we are good with our first workflow, which was to create the service. Now let me go and do the deploy part of it, but before, as I said, I have to do some changes based on what things got changed. Okay, first thing I have told you that we have to go and actually fetch the connection string, so we have to do that in secrets. But before that, I am just doing some changes on my variables. So let me give appropriate name. This was my name, and then this I think I will not need, but for, as I said, like I'm just keeping sync with what I have to do here. So just making sure that I'm appropriately updating my variables. So if you remember, I copied this URL because this I need to have integration. So let me put that complete URL. This is how I will integrate with the storage account. And while I do from front end to API, I will use this as a connection to that from front end to the API. Okay. Similarly, this I named web app as HOL front end web. Okay. So path, let it be default, and .NET version I'm using the LTS 3.1, and my repository name is DevOps with GitHub hands-on lab. This I've done for a specific purpose. Let me show you while I go through that particular workflow. So again, now I have a jobs which is build the API app. Okay, so this will be going on building that particular API app, and it will connect to my Azure using my service principal, and then also update the configuration settings which it should pull from a storage connection string. This we have to do. So let me bear with me for this. I have to show you how you will update this particular secret. Okay, so it will also update our storage connection string. Then it is going to actually build that particular .NET Core code and will create a artifact out of it in API app, which then I will use it to deploy to API web app. Now the way it works is as I'm be very specific on the folder structure, so I have to give it a specific hard-coded name with change in the directory. The way it works, the way my code is actually transferred to the GitHub runner. Okay, so home runner work is the default which you will see, and then followed by that it will be your repository name. Okay, so this will be the folder structure or hierarchy, I would say. Then the root of the repository, which was a source. So then I'm following that API, and API app is the folder name where I have kept my artifact. So it can be that complex depending upon how you are actually storing your code. Okay, so just to give you how to navigate on the hosted runner. Okay, so this one particular part is for API app. Similarly, the same part which I'm doing is for my web app, exactly the same thing. And here only thing is, in spite of updating now connection string, I'm updating the API URL because my front end website has to go to an API and ask for that images which is stored in the storage account, or it when my image is uploaded, it will take the path of API and then go and store in my storage account. Okay, so this is how our architecture is. So similarly, I'm just building that code and deploying this on a web app. So this is how I'm configuring the web app and API app with respective code. Okay. Now, one thing I need here is I have to fetch the storage connection string. So let us do that and update in a. So let me go to the storage account. Just keys and secrets are equivalent to the way we stored in our keyboards, right? So GitHub secrets are equivalent to that. So you can just use your keys based on what you have configured and then go to your respective secrets in GitHub. Let me go to secrets. I have something called storage connection string. Let me update that with the. So make sure you have the quotes because this is stored as a string. Okay, so what I did was whatever I copied, I've given it a code. So it updates my complete secret as a form of key value pair as a string. Secret string, I can say, which is given to while I connect through that particular connection secret. Okay, so I have updated now. So going back to our code, let's see if we are missing something or we are good with that. I think I'm done with secret. Now it should be able to fetch from the secrets, and then I have already given the deploy GitHub and my API. Now other secret which I'm using here is an API. So let me environment variable, right? So environment is Azure API URL. So that I've already set while I was doing the giving the URL to it, right? So this should now update our code, okay, and then do all changes what is required in terms of settings as well. So let's run this. Our trigger here is the build and deploy.md. Okay, so let me go and do the changes in build and deploy. So let me first of all comment this and then go on change to the respective readme file. Doing build and deploy on API web app and front end web app. So let us see if it is able to update. And see, while you practice this, your workflow can fail a number of times. So don't worry on that. Just read through errors and try to fix it. You will come through slowly, and as you get hands-on to your actions. Okay, so don't worry on those things. I think that is a learning part for all of us, and we all have been gone through that. So be patient while you do these kind of workflows, and if you have to learn something on YAML and structuring, I think there are a number of courses available for YAML as well as us to start with. But here I think you will not need much of that. You just need to have a few of your logic which you have been using for Azure CLI, and the other thing is on how to use the public GitHub actions. Okay, so that's all while you create these workflows. So let us check what it is doing as of now. It is trying to update as well as build that code for us. So it is now setting up the .NET Core main npm that .NET not npm .NET Core version, and then towards 3.1 LTS, and then build that for API app. So will follow exact the same naming convention, and repository name is also here. So this will go into the release folder from where it will fetch from that API app folder. So it should show here. Yeah. this is how the build has gone to this particular structure, which got replaced. I have just given the variable names. It took that particular variable and replaced this at runtime. Now I'm just going to deploy this to my API website. So my first part of the workflow, build API app, is done. Okay, so while coming back to this action, if you see the sequence which we had is using build API app and then followed by build web app. Now here I have the integration action as well, which will update our configuration settings to update an API URL, which is now pointing to our API app, which is built. So this I'm doing at a runtime. Sorry. So again, the same thing, it is building the package and it will put in a folder name which is called web app. Previously was API app, now it is going on the folder called web app. So I'm fetching that particular zip from that and then deploying it on the web app using that GitHub web deploy action. So as part of this, we needed two application settings. One was on a storage for us to connect, or API to connect to the storage, and then we needed a API URL so that we integrate our web app, front-end web app, to connect with my API URL. Okay, so those are the two things which I did. Now let's first check what we have as part of an API. So let me browse to that particular. Let me go to my hands-on lab. Okay, so let me see what I have as a part of my API app. So let me. So this is a blank array. That's true because we have not uploaded any images. So let's see how our web app looks like. So we will come here again. So coming to the, I think, so with my hands-on lab, let me go to the now front end. Now this is my front end for users to upload images. So as of now, I don't have any image, so I can upload directly. So I have to click on browse and can click on any particular image, right? So let me check if I have any. Yeah, I have one image here. So let me upload that image. So this is done by user. Okay, so this is kind of a gallery they have. Okay, so this is done by user. Now similarly, if I now go back and check on that array of API, it should show that particular path to that particular how should I navigate to that particular image. Okay, so it should be hash coded, but I think at least I can see the. Okay, so it has now under images, this particular JPEG file, which is now hash coded, is stored. So this is how we integrate this particular, or I would say create the services and then deploy the code programmatically using GitHub Actions workflow. So also you can do reverse, you can upload the images at the back and then they will show you at the front end. That will also work because now we have all the parts integrated together. Other thing which I want to show you here is for each of these, go whatever the app settings I have configured, they are now in the configurations. Now in case of API, this should be storage, which I have just gone and updated programmatically. Okay. Similarly, in case of our front-end web, it should be the API URL. Okay. So this got updated automatically. So that's all for these two labs. Before we continue on the next lab, I think I just want you to try that labs on your own. Third lab, which is creating the AKS cluster and deploying the sample app using Slimchat. Okay, so let us navigate to that first. The structure remains same. Only thing here is I'm creating a container registry, and then I'm creating the using the Docker file to build the image, and then deploy or create cluster first, and then deploy that sample app on that AKS cluster. Okay, so this is the another platform as a service, you can say, which you can use for microservice architectures. So now again, the few changes. First of all, here I'm using the ARM templates. That means for creating a container registry and then getting you through the AKS, I have the appropriate ARM templates. Okay, so these ARM templates will help me to provision that services at Go. Similarly is for application insights. So that was one change from our previous lab. Now we are not using Azure CLIs. There is a difference why we are not using Azure CLIs versus why you're using ARM templates. ARM templates are incremental. That means at any point of time, if I have any service which is created already, I will use the API, or APIs will let me know that this already exists, and then that ignores the previous creations and go ahead with the something which is not present. However, that is not the case with Azure CLI. If you try to run Azure CLI again after creating services, that workflow will fail, that it already exists. So that is the difference between using ARM templates against using the Azure CLI. So ARM templates are better than Azure CLI. However, there is use cases where you need to update some settings where the CLI will be very handy. Okay, so you have to take this with a pinch of salt, saying that what has to be used against which particular production use case. Okay, now here, as we are just using the sample app, application is a folder where you have a sample app. It is .NET 3.1, which I'm deploying as a part of this particular deployment. Okay, or as it is part of this lab. So let me show you the workflows. Now here, in interest of time, I'm just using one particular workflow, but this workflow does, as I said, as I'm using the ARM templates, this ignores if I have already had any of the service created. So that means I can now reuse this same template for deploying the code as well as creation of the services. Now build and deploy and push on respective branches, that remains same. README AKS is the file which I have to trigger or change for this workflow to get triggered. Again, the same basics, you have to change their names so that reflects a specific. Similarly, this is my subscription ID. Make sure you use your own subscription ID here. Image name, also wherever you see my prefix of my name, just try to change them and make sure you use, and this is the default version as on date today, okay, of AKS as a cluster. Now once I have this changes, few things I have to make sure is that I should have the again the security credentials as a part of GitHub secret, then create that resource group. For me to first create that particular cluster, I have to have resource group or any particular services. Then after that, I'm using the respective then I'm using the respective actions. Okay, so this actions will help me out with the deployment part to the AKS. So AKS credentials, I'm fetching, I'm having the namespaces as a part of the kubectl commands, and then also fetching the container registry credentials so that I can authenticate now with the help of those secrets to the AKS cluster. So application insights. Okay, the important element of this is you are creating complete cluster, and this also deploys an application using Helm chart. Okay, so that means you now have a bigger role here than using just a single app service. You can now deploy this particular image to that particular service. Okay, so all everything from the namespace per se, everything from clustering per se, you have to just go and navigate through your code and understand each and every element before you deploy that. So again, same thing. I have to have a service creation, then creating container registry, pushing that and building that through the Docker file and pushing that to container registry, and then using that image as a deployment, okay, to that particular AKS cluster as a microservice. Okay, so these are the few things. How you getting fetching the credentials is something new here, which is bit. I think you get a hands-on to how you can fetch those using command lines. So this you have to learn through with experience. Okay, so obviously if you are doing for first time, I would say just use it as it is. But then as you go ahead and do your own production workflows, then you have to put some concept around same that okay, when I should use this particular masking, or and when should I use the respective fetching at a runtime. Okay, so these are some of the concepts you will require while you deploy this in the production environment. So let me go ahead and deploy this. Again, I need to do the modification to readme aks.md. First of all, let me check with whether I have Vijay AKS app already present or not as a resource group, so that I should not here ideally it should not give me any problem, but for my but for my understanding, I think I'm just want to make sure that you see resources created right from scratch each and every, otherwise it will be just a hardly if we just code deploy, right? So I don't have any such. AKS app does not exist, so I should be able to do that without any challenges. So let me trigger this through readme aks.md. Let me go to workflow, root of that. Okay, so we are deploying AKS cluster along with code deploy. Okay, so this is the comment on this particular branch. So as I said, this will go and trigger that workflow, and we have two stages. One is my build stage of what I'm doing with that particular Docker file to build that image and push it to the container registry. The other part is using that image. I'm going to deploy it on my cluster. So let us go through it one by one, and let us see if it is creating the resource group and a number of things on its own. So rest all things remain same. I'm using exactly the same service principle. I have introduced two different services here. One is Azure Container Registry and another is a AKS cluster. Also, I'm using the Helm chart for deploying the sample app on AKS. So it takes some time because it is validating templates as well as going through the deployment as well. And it is based on ARM, right? ARM template. So obviously you can also see in resource group where the progress, if there is any creation, where it is. If that exists, I think it will go and show you. As of now, it is going through that validation stage. So let's see how it proceeds. So we have our resource group created at least. Okay, so now it is creating those particular services which I have given as a part of that ARM template. Also, I can track this through using, as it is now based on the ARM templates, I can see where the deployment is going through, right? So as of now, I'm on creating that cluster. So this is how you can do the checks. But if you remember our previous, there was no as such deployment actions being there because I did everything through CLI, which does not have an API layer as such. I'm doing directly on the console as a part of GitHub Actions. So validating template, creating deployments. Also remember, we are programmatically fetching the credentials, namespaces, how you authenticate. That will be very important for you if you are working on the AKS deployments. In future also, this is very, I think here at some places I have purposely echoed that, but I think in production use cases you can avoid the echo because here I do it for verifying that everything is working fine before I commit that to a production kind of scenarios. So in your production, I think you can remove anything which being echoed, or I would say mask them. So there is also instructions of how you can mask them. So remember those few ways how you can do that. It is still getting created because as I said, it is an AKS cluster, so it takes some time. And if I go and check, I think the version and whatever we have given from the node sizes, everything, even our cluster, service CDR, DNS IPs, everything go through. So it goes through complete setup of your cluster IP, and then also along with your load balancer, how you actually access that from an external world. Okay, so that also we will look through while it goes to the deployment part. Okay, so now deployment is complete. That means that particular container service is on. Now I think it will progress towards the ACR push, creation of the ACR and pushing that ACR to the, or pushing that image to that ACR. So that is how it will proceed. Okay, so our first part of building and pushing the image to content registry is over. Now we are started deploying to the AKS. Now again that those particular charts are important, and then getting a right credentials for that to authenticate is the key here, right? So I'm authenticating to the AKS cluster which was created in my previous step. Also, I would need the load balancer IP to browse this sample app. This is cluster IP. This is internal to the cluster. There would be something coming up on the load balancer. Okay. So let me I think it completed deploying. So I just need a load balancer IP so that I think it gets the IP after cluster IP assignments and deployments. So I'm just trying to fetch that. Sample app, waiting for service IP assignment. Okay, here's the IP. So this is for me to access this using load balancer externally. Okay, so this is a simple I've just put this a simple page of GitHub hands-on lab, and then our core app is now running on Azure. So that is the simple thing I've just put across for this particular exercise. Okay, so the sample app is just helping us with showing that it is up and running. Okay, so that was for AKS. Okay, so coming back to review what we did as part of this lab. Okay, so we go on through the code of how the code is. It is for sample app, and there are ARM templates here which you have to using for creation of appropriate registry or AKS templates, and also an application inside. Then apart from that, we have seen that we are using the same service credentials for authenticating to Azure, and then within the application we have something called charts, which provides the way for creating those services of sample app. Okay, so these are again the YAML files. Okay, so you can also go through this source code and how that looks like while you done the deployments. I think you can play around with the source code. So from the coding perspective, this was the things we did, and again the workflow ran by on a specific branch, which is AKS here, and it needs to change readme aks.md, which you have to change. Okay, so this is what I have from the AKS setup on Azure using GitHub Actions. Okay, so now let me switch to the other lab, which is on sales.js. Okay, so now a reason for covering this is because this not only covers an open source plus the other flavors of .NET, but then as a lab we should know how do we build around that and how do we actually deploy those codes using different methods. Okay, so Sail.js is nothing but the way we have MVC framework for the .NET core. Similarly, we have for Node. Okay, so here we are trying to just deploy that particular framework on the Azure or that code on Azure. Again, the application remains, and under applications you will have the respective codes and have the MVC kind of application. And then you, as this is based on Node, so you will have a respective package dependencies, everything taken care as a part of package.json files. And then coming to the again ARM templates for each of respective creation of the web app, as well as we are using the ARM templates. Similar is the case for registry. Okay, now coming to the workflows, we are doing the build and deploy the Docker app, which is Sail.js on Azure. Okay, so we can do the similar kind of checks here for naming convention and where that resource group lies. Okay, and give appropriate naming conventions, locations, and subscription IDs. These are some of the ways you can go through before actually deploying that. So again, jobs build. Okay, so this is where I'm using the hosted runner and then authenticating to the GitHub, creating the resource group, and doing the ARM deployment for respective container registry and then app services using that, and having the authentication credentials from there. Okay, and then pushing that to a website which we have created, and then deploying the code. Okay, so here basically here this is for a push to the container registry, and from here onwards this is pushing of that artifacts to the GitHub using this particular. So ideally what I'm trying to do here is first part is doing the deploy part using the ARM templates, then getting those credentials handy, and then so that I should have authentication credentials before I push to the container registry. Once I have that, I'm using the ARM deploy. Okay, this is for the deploying the specific templates or creating the app services on runtime, and then this all is for that. And then below part is for authentication, and last part is for deploying the web app for container. That means whatever the artifacts I have as a part of that as image I'm deploying on that particular container as a container on that particular app service. Okay, so this is what I have as a part of this Sail.js. So let me try to first of all check if so this is app name, and what is the resource group for me to search through? Sails.js.rg. Let me check if I have already that available to me. Sails-rg. Yeah, that is there. So let me delete that first. So you can run this. So the only thing is I just want you to show this that this runs from scratch and there's no as such I'm not modifying anything. So this the way it runs is, as I said, ARM templates are incremental. There is no harm keeping or already existing services being present on Azure. So this can take around 5 to 10 minutes. So let us browse through other things here until it completes. So for you to try out this, I think again you have to go through source code and workflow file and do the appropriate namings, which we already talked about. Ensure your environment variables in GitHub secrets are available and you updated that, otherwise workflow will fail. Create Azure services using workflows, I think already did. So, and browse your that particular website. Okay, that's all we have to do here. These are some functional tests. I think maybe you can include them in the workflows if you want to have the functional test on top of that website running, so that also you can do. In interest of time, I have not kept that because this goes through a number of particular checks, and then you also have to complete that these labs in a 4-hour time. So that is the reason I purposely left that out, that particular section. But I think you can try it out your own if you are having knowledge on that. Okay, so otherwise maybe once we complete that, I think we can run through sometime during different hands-on labs. So let us check where it is. Okay, should be there soon. So other thing which I want to talk about you about other sessions we will be doing on hands-on lab following our concepts on the databases, or I would say the data platform. So in October we'll be focusing on mainly on the SQL workloads, so that I will cover from an open source as well as a proprietary Azure SQL databases. That we will cover from concepts and why we need that. So the way we are doing the code related workflows, similarly there we will do the code plus databases, so that middleware will cover your along with your application as well. Okay, so that will be the future. I think even if you come down to the main other labs, you have this as part of database as code and MySQL Postgres, then this is all combined together along the app plus the open source databases. So maybe next class, I think concepts, and after that we will do the hands-on lab on the 12th of October. So 5th of October we have the concepts, and then 12th of October we will have the hands-on labs on SQL. And we'll follow exactly the same repository. So I think it is done, believe so. Yeah. So let's. So it requires the change to the readme sales.js.md file. So let me deploy sales.js on app service. Just committing to that branch of sales.js. So our actions should detect that, and we are started the build part of it. So again, it will start from the creation of resource group, then doing the service creation part, building the image and pushing that to a container registry. And then next part is obviously fetching the required credentials before we can authenticate to that app service and deploying that code on app service. So this layering, I think if you are very good on working with the Docker file, you should understand each and every step. Each line in the Docker file of YAML is a layer unless and until you are clubbing them in a single command line. So that is how these FS or file system layers are created while you create those services or as a part of image. So this is what it is doing: 2 of 7, 3 of 7, 4 of 7. Finally, while it completes this and add a at the top layer, 7 of 7 is what is. This is how it's starting the node application on top of that, which uses Sales.js as a framework. Okay, so we are near to the build an image being completed. So it pushed that. So let us check on the Azure as well where we are, whether we really have the container registry. Yes, in the container registry we should check about the repositories, and then repositories we should check about the image. Yes, this is there. Okay, so this is the hash code ID for that, about that image being available. Okay, this is the latest time which we are using. So let us check on the deployment part now. So the previous the actions remain same. It checks out the job and then uh, present this repository to the runner, and then you log on and authenticate to that. And then now going to the deploy part here, deploy is more on towards creating the other application insights and the web app layer where we will do the deployment of this code. Because as part of this we just created the content registry. So now we have the app service as well as the application insights available. Similarly, it will also create the app service for us. Okay. Okay, so it add app service. Now at times, as this is just being provisioned, so Sales.js took a bit of time to reflect. So let me check if it is available directly. Otherwise, it takes some time to reflect or warm up, I would say, to connect to all respective code. So that is the observation I have from the previous sessions. It takes some time to reflect this as a part of the code. But at least I see here from the deployments as well, the resource group. You can go directly to the resource group and see the deployments. It succeeded on all of them. Okay, and similarly going to the app service, I don't see any specific errors. Should be there soon. So data in, data out. So it is fetching now. So I think should be there. So again here I have just given a simple flow towards it. the simple look and feel of that web page. If you are working in a production scenario, that depends upon how you're clubbing that as a MVC, right? So that is model, view, and controller. So where you model it, and then a controller has a kind of a logic layer, and then view is finally what is presented to a user. That is how you do, the way you do in a .NET Core. Similar kind of approach applies here in Sales.js for Sales.js MVC for the Node.js. Yeah, I think we are good with the sales app on Azure. Okay, so that's all I think for these 4 sessions. I could have shown you the other session as well, but I think I want to give you some time back for you to try out these 2 labs. One is on AKS, another is on Sales.js.